In this video, I'm going to take you through some of the top things to do in the incredible red centre of the Northern Territory, Australia. We're going to start at the Alice Springs Kangaroo Sanctuary and Joey Rescue Centre. Founded in 2011 by Chris Brolga-Barnes, the Kangaroo Rescue Centre has been featured in Kangaroo Dundee, a popular television show on BBC and Nat Geo.
These are recently rescued joeys from roadkill. So on the left is Josie, and on the right is another one called Roger. He's Roger Jr.
This absolutely gorgeous little guy here is called Roger, and he's orphaned, unfortunately, and so he's going to be brought up here, but then when he's about 14 or 16 months old, he can be re-released. But for now, he seems very happy, very comfortable.
We raise orphan kangaroos, and where you most commonly get orphan kangaroos from in Australia is from roadkill. So dead kangaroos on the highway. Quite a common sight. Maybe in England you might see a dead bunny or a fox or a badger. In Australia it's kangaroos. And so what we do, we go out and we check dead kangaroos and see if they're a mother and whether they got a joey still alive in the pouch. Because mum's pouch, where she carries the baby, is actually full of muscles. It's not just a bag. So when mum goes hopping, muscles tighten around her baby like a big seatbelt. And these muscles often help protect babies during traffic accidents.
There are 56 red kangaroos here and 2 mountain kangaroos. And almost all of them are re-released, but Cindy Lou, who I've just met here, is actually too tame, so it'd be dangerous for her to be re-released back into the wild.
It's just one big open range area, so it's about 50 acres. And so to give you a perspective, that's about 500 metres by 400 metres, 500 metres long by 400 metres wide. And it's just the bush, it's just nature with a big fence around it to keep out the dingoes.
So they're actually very sociable animals. So most of the kangaroos here seem to be hanging out in quite big groups. Although they do obviously recognise Chris as they came over very happily when he walked over.
I mean, I'm nearly 50. When I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a show on TV called Skippy about a young boy who had a pet kangaroo. That was my favourite show. So that I think that sort of set the seed to falling in love with kangaroos. And then when I was about 17, I became a zookeeper. And then one day at the zoo, someone brought in an orphan kangaroo, and then I became the mother. And so from about 17, I've been looking after kangaroos, and on and off. And then later on, it came about that I started looking after kangaroos again in my early 30s, and found out here in the middle of Australia, there's nowhere for kangaroos to go if they can't return to the wild. So a sanctuary just seemed a perfect fit.
We've had an absolutely incredible morning at the Kangaroo Sanctuary with Chris. He's incredibly passionate, really knowledgeable, and he's doing some great work here. It's just been an absolute treat, and those little joeys are so cute. After our time at the Kangaroo Sanctuary, we enjoyed the drive towards Uluru Katajuta National Park. We'd be staying at the Ayers Rock Resort. So we've come at 6 p.m. to Imalung Lookout, which is one of the many viewpoints over Uluru. And I have an amazing sunset in front of me and the absolutely magnificent Uluru behind me. And this is just such a special place. I'm so happy to be here. I feel so lucky. So people might have phones and cameras to take photos, but generally people are just sat looking at the view, which is really nice. The next morning we had an early start to explore Uluru in a number of different ways. So there are obviously a number of different ways to see Uluru. You can walk around it on your own, you can join bike tours or even camel tours. But today I've actually opted to go on a Segway tour, and it might seem like a slightly unusual way to see the park, but of course it is completely environmentally friendly and not too noisy as well. And I am joining a small group. We've got a local guide as well, so she can tell us lots about the history and the local area.
So this here is an elephant. You can see the eye and the trunk on the right-hand side, and then the tusk.
So heavy rainfall isn't actually that common here, but about a week ago they did have quite a lot of rain. And the black lines that you can see behind me, this is actually where the water falls down, and Uluru looked absolutely incredible then. I mean, it still does now, to be honest. So we finished on the Segways. I'm now just taking a walk around Uluru. Although there's actually quite a few people visiting every day, because it does take about 3 hours to walk around the outside, then it doesn't feel too busy. It's a bit of a cliche to say that pictures don't do a place justice, but actually that is completely true of Uluru. I think until you've visited here and learnt some of the stories and significance of the area, you just can't quite appreciate why it's so special. This area is Kapi Mutajulu, which is a watering hole, as you can see, and this is one of the most reliably available water areas around Uluru. And there isn't any water coming down today, but in the past couple of weeks there's been a lot of rainfall, and so just behind me you could actually see waterfalls coming down, where you can see the black lines there today.
This has been just an absolutely incredible day. There are some places that until you actually visit in person, you just can't feel the aura of the place and understand the cultural significance.
I'm taking a look around the gallery of Central Australia, and this is an incredible gallery full of Indigenous art. And I was just chatting with the gallery curator, and she was explaining about some of the different clans that are producing the art here, and how somebody that's particularly in the know would be able to recognise which area the art is from just by the style. The Gallery of Central Australia features work by Indigenous artists. It also gives you the chance to view some fantastic examples of Aboriginal dot painting. There is just as much to do on an evening in the Red Centre as there is in the daytime.
So this evening I've come to experience a dinner event which is so famous and successful that it's actually been initiated into the Australian Tourism Hall of Fame. It's been running for 25 years and it's called Sounds of Silence. So I'm stood here now with a glass of champagne, and we've got some canapes coming as well. I've got Uluru behind me and Katajuta over there. The sun is setting and this is just going to be the most magical 4 hours of food, drinks and outback experience. Cheers. So we've just walked down towards our lovely spot for dinner. We've got the didgeridoo playing there. We've got fire pits, Katajuta behind me, and this is a lovely group activity. So there's quite a few people that we don't know sat at the table, but that's one of my favourite things about travel, meeting other people and hearing their stories. So everything here for our main course is bush tucker inspired. So I've got barramundi, and down here looks like some kangaroo. So we have just had the most magnificent night. This was definitely one of the highlights for me on my trip in Northern Territory. We've had amazing conversation with really lovely people, great food. We've had a guided tour of the night sky, and just a generally lovely time, and it really does feel like a very special experience. So just behind me is the absolutely incredible piece of art by Bruce Munro called Fields of Light. And this is made up of some 50,000 different coloured solar lamps which are flickering in the shadows of Uluru. It's the size of 7 football pitches, and it's clearly an incredibly popular installation, as it started in 2016 and it's now just been renewed for quite a few more seasons. After a brilliant evening, it was time to head back towards Alice Springs. I hope you guys have enjoyed exploring the Red Centre with me, and don't forget to subscribe.